The great hall of the Galaxy Council stretched wider than any cathedral humans had ever built. Its walls were made of shining crystal, its ceiling high enough to hide shadows in the light of distant stars. Delegates from 100 species sat in their places, their eyes glowing, their voices whispering in low tones. The air was heavy with tension, thicker than the atmosphere on most worlds. Something was about to break, and every alien present could feel it. At the far end of the chamber, the human delegation sat in silence. Their chairs were simple compared to the ornate thrones of other species. They wore no elaborate robes, no golden jewelry, no armor to display their power. They only sat still, calm, almost cold. That silence was more terrifying than any weapon. Whispers spread across the chamber. "Why do they not speak?" hissed a scaled creature with 6 eyes. "They should have surrendered by now," muttered a feathered ambassador, his wings twitching. "They are waiting for something," said another, his voice low, almost fearful. For weeks, the council had gathered here to demand concessions from humanity. The alien empires wanted human technology, human territory, and human obedience. In every past negotiation, weaker races bent under such pressure, but the humans did not bend. They did not plead. They did not even argue. They only sat, and the silence grew heavier with each passing moment. The speaker of the council, an ancient being with silver skin and long horns, finally raised its voice. "Humans," the speaker said, its tone sharp like a blade, "this is your final chance. You will agree to our terms, or you will be cast out of this council forever." Still, the humans said nothing. The silence was so deep that even the hum of the crystal lights could be heard. A murmur began, rolling through the chamber like distant thunder. Delegates tapped claws, wings, or metallic limbs against their tables. The humans remained still. Their faces were calm, unreadable. One alien slammed its fist against the table. "They insult us," it roared. "End these talks. Punish them before they grow stronger," others shouted in agreement. The noise rose until it echoed across the chamber like a storm. Yet even then, the humans sat quietly watching. Their stillness was unsettling, unnatural. The lead human, a tall ambassador with dark eyes, finally stood. His chair scraped against the floor, a simple sound that cut through the chaos like thunder. The shouting stopped. Every eye turned toward him. He looked across the chamber, at the countless alien leaders who believed themselves superior. His expression did not change. His voice was calm, but it carried through the vast hall as if the walls themselves wanted to spread his words. "For years," he said, "you have treated us as children. You demanded we obey. You demanded we kneel. But while you plotted against us, we listened. While you spoke of peace, you built weapons in secret. And while you waited for us to break, we prepared." Gasps echoed through the chamber. A murmur spread like fire. The alien delegates looked to one another, confused and unsettled. The human continued. "We have the proof. Your fleets gather in the dark. Your spies move against our colonies. Your council never wanted peace. You wanted control. And today we end this game." On the walls of the chamber, holographic screens lit up. Images filled the air. Hidden transmissions, maps of secret fleets intercepted orders. The evidence was undeniable. The council's betrayal was no longer rumor. It was fact laid bare for all to see. The hall erupted. Some shouted in rage, some in denial, others sat frozen, their eyes wide with fear. The mighty council, the unshakable order of the galaxy, trembled for the first time in centuries. The human ambassador did not flinch. He raised his hand and the noise fell away again. Silence returned, heavier than before. "There will be no negotiation," he said. His words were not loud, but they struck harder than weapons. The chamber shook with the weight of those words. Delegates slammed tables, voices rose, threats filled the air. But the humans remained still, as if they had already won. Outside the chamber, in the dark of space, human warships drifted in silence near the council's border. Their engines glowed faintly like eyes watching the galaxy. No one inside the chamber could see them, but every alien present felt their presence like a shadow pressing against the room. The Galaxy Council, once the center of power and order, was no longer in control. The humans had spoken only a few words, and yet those words had broken the illusion of peace. The silence stretched again. The human ambassador looked across the hall one last time, his dark eyes calm, his expression unshaken. He turned, sat down, and folded his hands. The message was clear. The council's power meant nothing. The audience of alien delegates sat in shock. Some whispered in fear. Others clenched their fists in anger. But not one of them could deny the truth. The humans had ended the negotiations without raising a single weapon. And in that silence, the galaxy felt something it had not felt in centuries. It felt the beginning of change. The tension did not end. If anything, it grew. The audience waited for more words, for more movement, for any sign of weakness. But none came. The humans remained in silence, and that silence was the most terrifying sound in the galaxy. The great hall of the council, once filled with order and power, now felt like a crumbling stage. And in that silence, the galaxy realized that nothing would ever be the same again. The tension rises. The uproar in the council chamber did not end. The moment the humans sat down, the voices of the galaxy returned, sharper and louder than before. Every delegate tried to speak over the others, their words crashing like waves in a storm. "The humans must be punished," shouted a thick-bodied creature with tusks curving past its jaw.
"They defy us in our own hall."
"They bring lies to divide us," hissed another, its translucent skin glowing with anger. "This evidence must be forged." But some remained silent, their eyes wide, their claws tapping nervously against their tables. They had seen the proof with their own eyes. The intercepted transmissions could not be denied. The fleets on the holomaps were real. Deep in their hearts, they knew the humans were right. The speaker of the council pounded its staff on the floor. The hall shook with the sound, forcing the noise to die down. The speaker's silver face was calm, but its eyes betrayed unease. "Humans," it said, "you speak of betrayal, yet you offer no path forward. What do you seek? What do you demand?" The lead human rose again. His calm face did not change, though the weight of countless alien eyes pressed down upon him. "We seek nothing," he said. "We are done seeking. We will not bend, we will not yield, and we will not ask. You thought these talks were about peace. They were not. They were about truth. Now the truth is here." His voice did not rise. It remained steady, measured. But those simple words struck harder than the loudest threats. One alien, its body made of shifting liquid, leaned forward. "You would walk away from the council? You would make yourselves enemies of the galaxy?" The human ambassador looked at him. His silence was sharper than any answer. That silence unsettled the entire hall. For centuries, negotiations ended in compromise. Even the fiercest empires made deals in the end. But the humans had just refused. Not with anger, not with fear, but with calm certainty. It was not the refusal that terrified the council. It was the way they did it. The chamber began to fracture. Delegates whispered among themselves, forming small circles of fear and anger. Some shouted for sanctions, others for immediate war. But a few whispered something different. If the humans are right, then we are all in danger. If the council lied, what else have they hidden? If humanity can resist, perhaps we should stand with them. These whispers spread faster than shouts. For the first time in living memory, doubt infected the council. The speaker saw it and tried to restore control. "Enough, humanity cannot be allowed to divide us. You will obey the ruling of this council." But even as the speaker spoke, its voice trembled. It was not fear of humanity's weapons. It was fear of what the humans represented. They were not kneeling, not begging, not breaking. They were standing. And that simple act threatened to unravel the order of the galaxy. The human ambassador raised a hand and a new hologram appeared. It showed Earth's fleet moving quietly along the edge of council-controlled space. Dozens of warships glided through the void, their formation precise, their engines glowing faintly. They were not firing, not threatening, but simply waiting, watching. A silence fell again. The image needed no words. The message was clear. Humanity was not alone at this table. Humanity had brought its fleet to the edge of the council's reach, ready for whatever came next. An insectoid delegate slammed its claw against the table. "This is war," it screeched. "They dare to bring weapons to our gates." But the human ambassador only answered with calm words. "We brought proof, and we brought preparation. You cannot threaten us with what we already expected." The chamber trembled with uncertainty. Some races shouted for retaliation. Others remained frozen in thought. The perfect order of the council was breaking, splintering under the weight of one quiet refusal. In the shadows of the chamber, smaller delegations began to exchange looks. A reptilian ambassador leaned toward its neighbor, whispering softly, "If humanity stands against them, perhaps they will stand for us too." Across the hall, a bird-like creature shifted uneasily. thinking of its vulnerable colonies along the border. For centuries it had obeyed the council, but now it wondered if obedience meant weakness. The humans said nothing more. They did not need to. Their silence filled the chamber more powerfully than any speech. The speaker's staff struck the floor again. "This meeting will be suspended until order can be restored," it declared. The council delegates rose, their robes rustling, their voices rising again in heated argument. Some stormed out, wings flaring, claws clicking against the crystal floor. Others stayed staring at the humans as if searching for weakness. The human delegation did not move. They sat in silence, calm and unreadable as the galaxy around them unraveled. Outside the chamber, the news spread like fire. Across the galaxy, transmissions carried the story. Humans refused the council. Evidence of betrayal exposed. The council shaken to its core. On distant worlds, citizens of alien empires whispered the story with awe. Some laughed at the arrogance of humanity. Others spoke of them with fear. But many in secret spoke with admiration. For the first time in centuries, a race had said no to the council and lived. And in that refusal, the galaxy felt a shift. Old powers trembled, new alliances began to form, and warships across dozens of star systems quietly powered up their engines. The council chamber was only the beginning. The true storm was still coming. The human stand, the chamber of the Galaxy Council, did not return to peace. Even when the speaker ended the session, the noise did not die. Delegates filled the halls outside, their voices colliding, their steps hurried, their gestures sharp. The once orderly corridors of the council now felt like a battlefield of words and suspicion. In the middle of this chaos, the humans walked silently. Their faces calm, their pace steady. While alien delegates hissed and argued, the humans did not react. Every step of theirs carried a strange weight, as though they were not walking away in defeat but walking toward something greater. The alien crowds parted as the humans passed. Some moved aside in anger, spitting curses under their breath. Others moved aside out of fear, their eyes avoiding direct contact. The humans looked forward, never breaking their pace. Back in the council chamber, the speaker remained behind with a few senior delegates. Their voices lowered to whispers. "They bring fleets to our gates," said one, a massive being with armored plates. "This is not negotiation. It is threat." "No," another replied, "it is worse. They do not threaten at all. They simply act as if they need nothing from us." The speaker tapped its staff gently against the crystal floor. "If the humans believe they can stand against the galaxy, then they will be crushed. No single race can stand alone." But even as the speaker spoke, its voice lacked certainty. It remembered the human's calm face, the steady voice that did not tremble. It remembered the silence after those words. "There will be no negotiation." It remembered how that silence had cut deeper than any declaration of war. Far from the council chambers, above a cold and quiet planet, the human fleet moved with precision. Warships drifted in perfect formation, their engines dimmed to conserve power, their weapons quiet but armed. The flagship, a colossal vessel of steel and firepower, loomed at the center. Inside, commanders studied the council's reaction through live transmissions. The human ambassador's words echoed across the command deck. "The council has shown its true face. They wanted peace only as a mask for control. We will not kneel. We will not beg. If the galaxy wants war, we are ready." The officers did not cheer. They did not shout. They only nodded in silence, their eyes fixed on the screens. Humanity had no need for empty noise. Their resolve was enough. On dozens of alien worlds, the news spread faster than light. Citizens gathered in public halls to watch the transmissions. Images of the humans standing in silence played again and again. The words repeated in translation after translation, "There will be no negotiation." For some species, the words were an outrage. For others, they were a spark of inspiration. A merchant on a distant trade world whispered to his friend, "If humans can defy the council, perhaps we can too." A soldier on a border planet stared at the broadcast and thought, "If war comes, I would rather stand with them than against them." The galaxy shifted quietly, thought by thought, whisper by whisper. Back in the council city, a group of angry delegates confronted the humans before they could leave. "You dare humiliate this council?" growled one, its voice echoing off the crystal walls. "You will be cast out, hunted, erased from every star map." The human ambassador stopped and looked at the delegate. His face remained calm. His answer was simple. Try. The single word silenced the corridor. The delegate froze, its many limbs twitching in uncertainty. The humans did not wait. They continued walking, leaving only that word behind them. Try. That word spread faster than threats. It reached ears across the galaxy, carried by whispers, repeated with awe. A single human word had shaken an empire. The speaker called an emergency council meeting the next cycle. The chamber was filled again, though the atmosphere was different. It was not order. It was fear, anger, and division. Delegates argued openly, their voices louder than ever. Some demanded immediate war. Others called for restraint, worried about what secrets humanity might still hold. A few even suggested a radical thought. Perhaps the council needed humanity more than humanity needed the council. The human seats remained empty. Their absence was heavier than their presence had ever been. The silence of those empty chairs gnawed at the chamber, making the voices of the delegates sound hollow. The speaker raised its staff, but the pounding no longer carried authority. We must show strength. The humans must be reminded that the council is unshakable. But even as it spoke, everyone in the chamber knew the truth. The council was already shaken. Its unity was breaking, its control slipping. On the human fleet, the ambassador stood before a large viewing window, watching the stars stretch endless into the void. His voice was quiet, but the crew around him listened with full attention. For centuries, the council has ruled through fear and illusion. They believed no one could resist them. Today, we showed them otherwise. Today, we reminded the galaxy that humans do not bow. The officers stood silent. They needed no words to confirm what they already believed. The ambassador lowered his voice even further, almost to a whisper. The council will break itself trying to break us, and when it falls, we will still be here. Outside, the stars shone cold and endless. The human fleet waited, patient and unshaken as the galaxy turned in chaos. That day became known across countless systems as the moment the Galaxy Council cracked. Delegates returned to their homeworlds carrying not triumph but doubt. Citizens spoke not of the Council's strength, but of its weakness. And everywhere the same question spread. If humanity could stand against them, why could we not? The human stand was not just for Earth, it was for the entire galaxy. And the galaxy, though it did not yet know it, would never be the same again. The shattered council. The Galaxy Council had always been a symbol of order. Its crystal halls, its shining banners, and its unbroken rows of alien leaders gave the illusion of unity. But after the humans walked out, the cracks became visible. They were not small cracks. They were wide, deep, and growing with every passing hour. When the next meeting was called, the chamber felt different. Delegates arrived late, some refusing to sit near old rivals. Others glared across the room at former allies. The trust that once held the council together was gone. The speaker struck its staff against the floor, demanding silence. The sound echoed, but it no longer commanded respect. Voices kept rising. They humiliated us before the galaxy, snarled a tusked ambassador. We must unite and destroy them before others follow their example. You speak of unity, shouted a feathered delegate, yet your fleets were among those caught plotting against them. You speak of war, but you are guilty too. Accusations spread like fire. The proof the humans had shown was impossible to ignore. Fleets had been gathering. Secret plans had been made. The council had betrayed its own promise of peace. And now no one trusted anyone. The speaker tried to control the storm. If we turn against each other, we hand the humans victory without a single shot being fired. We must remember who the enemy is. But the words carried no weight. Delegates whispered, some with fear, some with anger. Across the chamber, a small reptilian race rose to speak. Its voice was calm but sharp. Perhaps the humans are not our enemy. Perhaps they revealed the truth we needed to see. If the council has lied once, why should we believe it now? Gasps filled the room. To question the council itself was unthinkable only days ago. But now the thought had been spoken aloud, and it could not be taken back. A towering insectoid slammed its claw on the table. Treason, it hissed. If you side with the humans, you side against the galaxy. The reptilian did not back down. No, we side with honesty. We side with survival. The chamber erupted. Some shouted for punishment. Others whispered of alliances outside the council. The speaker pounded its staff again and again, but order no longer returned. Beyond the council walls, the galaxy felt the fracture. On border worlds, soldiers grew restless. Colonies began fortifying defenses, unsure who would attack first. Traders raised prices, sensing war on the horizon. Refugees whispered of leaving council-controlled space altogether, hoping to find safety near human colonies. In secret, messages flowed faster than light between empires. Some reached out to humanity, quietly offering friendship. Others plotted how to strike first before Earth's fleets grew too strong. Everywhere the same fear grew. The council no longer held control. In the council city, rumors spread among citizens. The humans showed proof, they whispered in markets. The council wanted war all along. Others argued the humans will bring chaos. They should be crushed. But even those who hated humanity admitted something had changed. The aura of unshakable authority was gone. For centuries, the council had ruled with certainty. Now, uncertainty ruled instead. Meanwhile, in the human fleet, commanders received reports of the council's collapse. The ambassador listened in silence. His officers explained how old alliances were breaking, how worlds were refusing orders, how whispers of rebellion grew each hour. Finally, he spoke. The council is not falling because of us. It is falling because of itself. We only showed the truth. The officers nodded. They knew the truth of his words. Humanity had not fired a shot. Yet the galaxy was already trembling. Back in the chamber, the arguments reached a breaking point. A feathered delegate rose, its voice trembling with rage. If we do nothing, the humans will rise above us all. If we fight them, we fight each other. The council is finished. The speaker tried to silence him, but it was too late. Delegates began walking out, their robes trailing, their guards following behind. Some left in anger, others in fear. A few left with quiet smiles, already planning their next move. For the first time in history, the Galaxy Council could not hold its members together. Night fell over the council city. The shining lights of its towers flickered as ships left orbit. Fleets returned to homeworlds. Leaders sent secret orders. The once united galaxy was now a galaxy of suspicion, of broken trust, of quiet preparations for war. In the shadows of the council hall, the speaker stood alone. Its silver skin reflected the dim glow of the chamber's fading light. The staff in its hand felt heavy. For centuries it had believed the council was eternal. Now it saw the truth. The council was only as strong as the lies it told, and the humans had taken those lies away. The speaker whispered into the empty hall, "They have shattered us without lifting a weapon." The words echoed in the crystal walls. A confession no one else would hear. Far away, the human fleet drifted silently above the stars. The ambassador stood at the viewing window, watching the endless dark. He spoke softly, but every word carried the weight of iron. The galaxy thought strength meant shouting louder than others. The council thought power meant control. We showed them that silence is stronger than both. And now their silence will consume them. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. The galaxy was breaking and humanity watched, patient as ever. The aftermath and suspenseful close. The halls of the Galaxy Council stood quiet. Where once hundreds of voices clashed in endless debate, now only silence echoed against the crystal walls. The great banners of unity still hung from the ceiling, but they no longer inspired pride. They looked like relics, faded reminders of a past that had just ended. The council was not officially dissolved, but in truth, it had already fallen. Too many races had walked out. Too many worlds had chosen to act alone. Fleets were recalled. Old alliances broken, and suspicion poisoned every corridor of the galaxy's once proud capital. The humans had spoken only a few words, yet those words had cut deeper than any weapon. On distant colonies, citizens gathered around holoscreens. The broadcasts repeated the same moment again and again, the human ambassador standing, speaking with calm certainty. There will be no negotiation. Each time the words played, the galaxy seemed to tremble again. To some, they were terrifying. To others, they were inspiring. And to many, they were unforgettable. In markets, in barracks and quiet homes, whispers grew. If the humans can resist the council, perhaps we can too. If the council is broken, who will protect us now? If Earth is strong enough to stand alone, perhaps they are strong enough to lead. The whispers spread like fire through dry grass, small at first but growing too quickly to contain. Not every world welcomed the change. On militarized planets, leaders rallied their people with fiery words. The humans insult us all. They will burn for their arrogance, Fleets launched, not yet toward Earth but toward the borders of rivals. Fear of humanity gave old enemies the excuse to settle ancient grudges. The galaxy shifted. Some empires prepared for war against humanity. Others prepared for war against each other. All of them prepared for war against someone. And through it all, humanity waited. On the flagship of Earth's fleet, the ambassador watched transmissions flow across the command deck. Reports of fleets moving. Reports of alliances breaking. Reports of chaos in every corner of the stars. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. His face remained calm, his voice steady. "They think we wanted this," he said quietly. "They think we came here to break the galaxy. But the truth is simpler. We only refused to kneel. The rest is their own doing." Around him, officers stood in silence. They knew he spoke the truth. Humanity had not fired a single shot, yet the galaxy was already tearing itself apart. In a hidden chamber on a distant world, a small group of alien leaders gathered in secret. Their voices were hushed, their faces shadowed. "The council is finished," one said. "Its power was an illusion. The humans showed that." Another leaned forward. "Then perhaps it is time we choose new allies. Earth may be defiant, but Earth is strong, stronger than any of us alone." A third hissed in protest. "To side with humans is to invite destruction." But the second voice did not waver. "To side against them may bring the same. The difference is that with them there is hope." Silence fell over the chamber. The choice was dangerous, but the thought could not be erased. On the council's homeworld, the speaker stood at the window of its private chamber, staring at the stars. Its silver skin reflected the pale glow of the night. It gripped its staff, but the weight felt greater than ever before. For centuries it had believed the council's power eternal. Now it saw the truth. The council had always been fragile. It had survived only because no one dared to challenge it. Humanity had dared, and everything had fallen apart. The speaker whispered to itself, "They destroyed us with silence. What will they do when they choose to speak again?" The words carried no answer. The stars outside remained cold and distant, indifferent to the fall of empires. Across the galaxy, humanity's name spread. To some it was a curse, to others it was a banner. But to all it was impossible to ignore. On a warship far from Earth, an alien captain spoke to his crew. "Do not underestimate them. They ended negotiations not with weapons, but with truth. If they can do that without firing a shot, imagine what they will do when war begins." His crew listened in silence. None dared to argue. In the quiet of the human flagship, the ambassador stood alone at the viewing window. He watched the stars in silence, his reflection dark against the endless void. "Today we ended their lies," he whispered. "Tomorrow the galaxy will decide what comes next." Behind him, the fleet waited. Dozens of warships silent and still, their engines glowing faintly in the dark. They did not move, yet their presence carried a weight that pressed across the stars. The humans had no need to rush. The galaxy was already unraveling, and so the story ended not with a battle, not with a grand explosion, but with silence. A silence heavier than war drums, sharper than threats, more powerful than weapons. The Galaxy Council was shattered. Humanity had not broken it with force, but with refusal. A refusal so strong that it echoed across every star system, changing the fate of empires forever. What would come next? No one knew. War, peace, unity, or chaos. But one truth was now certain. The galaxy would never again see humanity as weak. And in the silence of space, humanity waited, patient as the stars themselves.